Everybody, Taco Tuesday, and it's actually National Taco Day. We got vagrants. We got them yelling at each other at Congress. Ballots are coming in on vote no on Prop 50. The Gavin Newsom terrorizing of California. Holy cow, lots of just fireworks flying all over the place on that. No more than you see the flames. People are fed up at these vagrants burning down their cities, making them unsafe. It's really ridiculous what we're enduring. But here's what another group here in SoCal, this is what they're subjected to. The flames.
Yes,
in the preserve.
very deep in the reserve, and they have propane tanks and cooking stoves and fire rings and smoking, and all of this area could go up in a flash. This area is not designed for people to live in. There are not adequate sanitary facilities. No, we don't feel like the city is doing enough.
Yes. These places are uninhabitable. Whether they're camping in the riverbed, or they're sleeping on your sidewalk, or they're infiltrating your shopping centers, or wherever. They're causing health hazards, fire hazards, just absolute. It just drives you absolutely insane. No wonder those all across the nation, no more so than in California, where we're ground zero for the vagrant population. Half the vagrants are living in California or close to it. And we're only 12% of the population. We're 4 times over per capita of what our population is. No wonder people are just up in arms over this stuff. It's absolutely crazy. As you can see, I just walked in here. So I may be a little shaky on the grooming, but hey, it happens. The West Coast city is now the nation's, I'll get it out, rattiest. Look at this. Guess what? And guess where most of them are? And guess where? And what, let's say, political persuasion the rat-infested cities are. The rat, for those astute political observers, should give you a big clue of what's going on here. Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri. And, everybody's going on with the histrionics with Durbin and Pencil Neck Schiff and the crew up there with Pam Bondi. But, of whole Crossfire Hurricane, the whole enchilada, the locking us out of school, board meetings, the public meetings, kids out of school, the whole enchilada. The cover-up of Hunter Biden and all that was orchestrated by Obama, Hillary, and Slow Joe. But Eric Schmidt actually, for once, or very rare occasions, in the midst of the political theater, actually rolled the facts out and presented them very fairly, astutely, and I would say greatly. Here's just a short clip. We'll get into more of this later.
Degree of the cognitive dissonance that I hear on the other side. It really is. I mean, I'm used to sort of the political debates and arguing in court and all those sorts of things. But to hear the other side of the dais talk about weaponization is truly shocking, given what we know now. And I thought what I might do is just tell a story.
And we'll hear more of that story here in a bit. And it's actually And you probably won't hear that because it's not sensational. It's not Pam Bondi and Adam Schiff getting in a verbal tussle and calling each other names, which is cool. I mean, we can enjoy a good political fight as well as anybody. But Eric Schmidt was cool, calm, and collected and just laid out the facts of the case and the reality of the situation. This is, if we don't fix this, things can turn to hell in a handbasket quickly. If cops, law enforcement agents get on the phone or get on the radio and say, hey, we got a condition over here, we're threatened, send some reinforcements, and that doesn't come, we're in real trouble. Not to mention, we got clips of where people are calling up saying, hey, there's a disturbance, our lives are threatened, cops' lives are threatened, and the cops are told in a local police force to stand down. It's a great Utah Senator Michael Lee said it's okay for Antifa to be safe. It's okay for those doing the bidding of international violent drug cartels to be safe. But heaven forbid, our ICE officers should be safe. Again, we start this crap of pulling resources and manpower when law enforcement officers are threatened or need backup. Ugly is not even a proper word to describe what will happen next. We'll get more into this, but the great Sheriff Grady Judd down there in Florida summed it up real good. We'll have some clips on that later on, along with the dispatch calls where Chicago police officers were ordered to stand down when law enforcement officers were in trouble. It's really, really, really disturbing. Pope Leo making some claims about, oh, if you're against abortion, but you like the death penalty, you're really a death monger. We'll get into more of what Pope Leo, the Pope of the pedophile church, has to say about this. But man, some of these guys that are leading your organized religions, you really need to look at what they're really trying to tell you. Deportations, we'll get into this, but 80-20 issue, 80% of the country wants those here illegally deported still. 60%, everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a criminal or not, if you're here illegally, still about 60-40. That's in a Harvard-Harris poll coming up. Again, we'll dig in deep into the details later. This is an absolute, just want to make your head explode. San Francisco erupts as a 91-time felon. 91 times he has been convicted of felonies. Tries to dodge prison, weasel into rehab after he was convicted, I believe, if I remember correctly, manslaughter in a deadly crash. 91-time felon. He says, "Oh, if I get into a rehab, I'll clean myself up." Jeez. San Francisco's had enough of this crap. San Francisco's actually turning into a better political environment than Los Angeles. LA, you still got Buffoon Bass down there. She'd probably let him go. And if you had that other goofball DA Gascon in there, he wouldn't even put him in rehab. He'd probably just turn him out on the street. The big one, ballots are hitting mailboxes today. You have till to the first Tuesday in February to get them in the mail, but if you're voting no, get them in early. There's a voter ID initiative. Get on the deal, promote that. That's to get signatures. You just go that like the Prop 13 petition that Howard Jarvis Group has out to protect Prop 13. Go on there, download the petition, get voter ID on the 26th election next November. Vote no on Prop 50, where you're getting your ballots today. Get all your friends, ballot harvesting, and the whole bellywick. Gonna have a little more economic news to show you how making $1.25 an hour is worth more than making $15 or $20 an hour. Mondays with Mar is going to be interesting. Air traffic controllers all of a sudden bailed out of Burbank. Rumored to be some others on that. But the union said, "Oh, no, the strike wasn't about this pending. We might not be being paid over the Schumer shutdown," which isn't even true. It won't be till Friday. They've still gotten their checks up till the earliest possible. Any government employee's not going to get a check will be this week at Friday. So as the cops used to call it, blue flu and all that, it will very suspicious, and there was rumored it's happening all over. Nick Sorter, who was unlawfully arrested, I believe, up in Portland by the Portland cops. The DA refused to press charges. Harry Enton has some interesting polling numbers on El Presidente Donald J. Newsom says he'll pull from the governor's group if it won't condemn Trump's deployments. Oh, crocodile tears from Gabby. What a maroon. We get into this and much, much more in the rest of the hour. On National Taco Day, as it's a typical Taco Tuesday. Of course it is. I wonder if Foghorn Leghorn is going to have a taco today. It's amazing as you get older how many people don't even know who Foghorn Leghorn is, or the sheepdog as they roll back as he's putting the garbage can lid over that. The whole disturbance that we've had, whether it be the cops being stand down like Nick Sorter, who was attacked by the Antifa, crowds that are running Portland. The cops arrested him. Even the DA in Portland said there is no case. They didn't file the charges. So now we got the cops still in Portland, and I'm not saying all cops, but in Portland, arresting people who are being attacked by the mobs. It adds a lot of credence to what Mike Lee said. It's okay for Antifa to be safe. It's okay for those doing the bidding of international violent drug cartels to be safe. So remember, Antifa was protected during the George Floyd riots when they were looting the stores, occupying people's properties, burning stuff down. The drug cartels are going to be protected because they are the ones providing the campaign cash, getting the crook politicians elected, and they're run on both sides of the aisle, both sides of the major two parties. But heaven forbid our ICE officers should be safe. And I will add to that, heaven forbid a citizen should be safe. Look at our lead story of the vagrants. Burn, let your town burn. Day after day, it never seems, well, they clean up this area, move them there. We just keep moving them around. Like you would, okay, you pick up an old trash can or something and all the cockroaches run out. You don't stomp on them, they're just going to go somewhere else, and you're going to find them somewhere else until you eliminate them, until you stomp on them and get them out. But this is the condition, or like we said, like Mike Lee said, well, they're not protecting you. In fact, they're arresting you when you're trying to defend yourself. They're arresting you. As pointed out the Pam Bondi hearings today, for speaking at public meetings, for exercising your First Amendment right to free political speech. Teachers, put a letter in. Teachers, not unions, teachers. Unions can't write a darn thing. Show me a union. Show me the union office or label or piece of paper that printed stuff on itself. No, somebody had to write it, push the button. And they are representing you, teachers. Randy Weingarten and the whole crew, your union representatives are speaking for you, unless you come out and say they're not. If you stay silent, you are agreeing with them. But it's like that. So they're not they're actually turn. What does this sound like? You don't obey, you're going to jail. Whether it's legal or not, we don't care. We are the law. And again, like we pointed out yesterday, what if the Marines are under attack somewhere doing a mission, or at an air base? They call up the Army, Air Force, and Navy, say, hey, we need some help. As in before yesterday, pronto, red alert, get your asses over here. We're getting shelled up our ass. They say, well, let me check in with headquarters. Oh, headquarters says we're not coming out. That happened in Chicago. We're not making this stuff up. Here's the call coming in.
Okay. Particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic on foot wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all occurred started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place.
Okay, the dispatcher's explaining, hey, we got a hot one. They're running the federal agent off the road. He needs help. Now. Here's a response from Chicago police.
The male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing. 90 man?
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction.
So, I don't know, desk sergeant, whomever, tell the Chicago cops to park 3 blocks away and wait for instructions. I kid you not. This is the police radio talking to the desk sergeant, dispatch saying, hey, there's an ICE officer in trouble. He's getting run off the road. He needs backup help. The desk sergeant says, tell the cops to park 3 blocks away and turn on their favorite radio station and I don't know what, listen to Taylor Swift.
Direction, please.
Right, so for and for the units responding to 39th Police in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, the units responding to 39th Police in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
So the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there.
We're not responding. Chief of patrol, I guess that's what they call him in Chicago. Chief of patrol, we're not responding. Get out of there. So it's not just Portland, not just Los Angeles, not St. Louis, not Chicago, here in Chicago and everywhere else. What is the common theme you see here? Big city, urban, probably 80% Democrat plus. The great sheriff down in Polk County, Florida, Grady Judd, says he says that if you let this stand, we're in big trouble. If this is going on, if this starts, he says, absolutely. He has examples. This is how a sheriff, police officers, law enforcement should respond at all times, not only to fellow law enforcement officers, but to the general public when the ish is going down.
I have never heard of one law enforcement agency not helping another when they call for help until this weekend. When a chief of patrol, where the Chicago Police Department instructed the police officers not to run in and help their colleagues who were calling for help, who were under attack by a bunch of people clearly violating the law. That's scary. Let me give you the antithesis of that. We had a single man resist ICE agents and get away from them in our community. We sent a helicopter, a drone, canine, and 50 law enforcement officers to surround an area, and we found that guy who violently resisted ICE, and we locked him up in jail where he should have been.
So Grady Judd, ICE officer, calls in, say, hey, I'm in trouble. He puts up helicopters, canine units, 50 police officers, drones. 50. 50. Chicago tells them to stand down.
If you allow anarchists and criminals to run wild in your community, people will die. People will be shot. Now,
People will die. People will be shot. This is, and please, if you're not qualified or uncomfortable, don't own a firearm until you're trained or comfortable with it. But if we're going to start with, you call up the cops and they're not going to show up. Not only is there no reason, no legitimate reason, there is no freaking way you will be safe. People will be dying shot. You better have or know somebody in your household that knows how to use firearms and has them ready to go. I mean, notice these commercials. There's this goofy commercial going on I'm hearing on the radio. Oh, some family calls up. Oh, are your firearms all locked up and safe and yada yada? Who the hell does that? They are conditioning you right, left, sideways, up, down, and 27 million times to Sunday. We're going to let Grady Judge say it.
let me say this. For other law enforcement leaders across this state and nation, you need to be standing up saying the same exact thing that I am. Because when you have a breakdown of the rule of law, when you allow anarchists, criminals to take over the streets and attack law enforcement officers and then not send them help, that's a slippery slope, a real slippery. I have
Yes, it is. That's the best case for the Second Amendment. It's there for your protection and to protect you from a tyrannical government, from stripping away your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Before we join the Mighty Men, I want to get to this deal that the Pope Leo put out. Someone who says, I'm against abortion, but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is really not pro-life. What? What kind of twisted logic is this? If you're not, okay, if you're against abortion, but you're in favor of the death penalty, you're really not pro-life. See, castigating those, no, you're in favor of people living in a safe society and can live their lives without being a threat. Especially on the death penalty. That's what it's there for, as punishment, as the ultimate punishment. How many times do people get stoned to death? In the Bible, according to history. Pope Leo. Then Someone who says I'm against abortion, but I'm in agreement with the inhumane treatment of immigrants in the United States. I don't know if that's pro-life. What the hell? Who is getting who's immigrants? Even illegal immigrants. Who's getting inhumane treatment? Hey, you point that out, I'll be the first one down there to take up their case. But to try and run this rhetoric, this is the Pope. And the Catholic Church has been the biggest pedophile ring in the history of the world. Believe me, I'm sitting right next door to St. Christopher Church. I got a 75-foot tower. Can see a lot of things that go on. Treatment, inhumane treatment of immigrants. No, he's openly telling you de facto disobey the law. Disobey the law. Support Antifa. Antifa's inhumane treatment. Nick Sorter isn't. All the people that lost property, had their buildings burned. The guy that gets smashed and grabbed in the jewelry store, and on and on and on. Oh, you're inhumanly treating them. Immigrants, no. For one thing, there is none, or very little. I'm sure there is a case. If it is, those people should be prosecuted. That's why we have a criminal justice system. Pope. Should we just throw up our hands and let whatever will be, will be? Don't follow the law. No, in fact, Catholic Charities got billions of dollars from the Biden administration to bring them up here to the United States illegally. Holy cow. We call it as it is. Anybody wants to come in, have a discussion about this issue? Let's go for it. Get a hold of me. Oh, man.
About 30 seconds, Roy.
Here in a few seconds, as Sean said. We'll get into some more of the topics on this Taco Tuesday and National Taco Day on top of that. So even if everything's going wrong, that get a taco and everything will all be better.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast studio audience and Eve Upbeat Network, Rumble X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, do all that good stuff on there. People are just tired of seeing their towns burnt down. This is our lead story. You can check us out on IE News Wire on those platforms. Your towns are burning every day. People have had enough of this. People are getting arrested for defending themselves against Antifa and the thugs, and they get arrested. You get arrested for defending yourself. They don't arrest the criminals. Chicago police are told to stand down, go the other way when an ICE officer is calling for help because he's being run off the road. Then you got the Pope running this game of, oh, the United States is inhumane treatment of immigrants, and that's not pro-life and all this. Holy mackerel. When the Pope and Catholic Charities have taken billions of dollars, had Joe Biden point a gun at you, take your money, give it to them to haul the illegals up here to the United States, 30 million of them. And he's calling out Trump, us that want to enforce the law, saying we're inhumane treatment. 91-time felon up in San Fran, which they're erupting, going crazy, rightfully so. This dude's convicted, I think, of manslaughter, if I remember correctly. 91-time felon. Kills somebody and wants to go to rehab. Vote no on Prop 50. The ballot's hit today. Get your friends, have ballot harvesting parties. We have the California Voter ID Initiative, which is now ready to go. You can download that petition, sign it, get it in. We can get that in 26. Go to HJTA, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers, download that petition to protect Prop 13. It's some wild times. Of course, the West Coast city that's the rowdiest, Los Angeles, followed by LA, then New York City. You should go in the top 20. And even though they're in red states, it's the three that are in like Texas, Dallas, and San Antonio, and one other, are all Democrat-run cities. All of them. It's flipping crazy what's going on out there. And just like the Pope, oh, the inhumane treatment. And all this nonsense. Oh, the illegals. $80-20 issue. Deport immigrants who've committed crimes, 80%. Or 78-22. So let's say 80-20. Another one of those 80-20 issues. Deport anyone here illegally. 56-44. Basically 60-40-ish. Everyone. And the Pope Leo's calling you out. Hey, inhumane treatment, and you're not pro-life, and you're torture. Gosh. And this is from a Harvard-Harris poll. Not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy, folks. This isn't Trafalgar or Rasmussen or Big Data Poll, Insider Advantage. Harvard-Harris poll just came out. Before we get into the Eric Schmidt, who was absolutely fabulous at the Senate hearings today on Arctic frost and the whole corruption that we've been hosed under on. But here's our economic lesson for the day. 60 years ago, 64, minimum wage was 5 silver quarters, 90% silver quarters, which were valued at $1.25. 60 years later today, 5 silver, 90% silver quarters would net you $35 an hour. 35. And then the national average now today is about $10 an hour minimum wage. So you're 350%, 3.5 times less purchasing power than you were 60 years ago if you're making minimum wage. Even California, well, we're 16, 17, or 15 or whatever, still double. $60 years ago, a dude making minimum wage, at the time, pumping gas, wiping down windshields, checking your oil, waiting tables, cleaning up your toilets, whatever minimum wage jobs were at the time. They were far better off 60 years ago when your money had value, an intrinsic value, than the foul paper currency crap we got going on today. So it isn't about minimum wage. It's about your true future is about building wealth, having tangible assets that you control. That's what our money was 60 years ago. And even the lowest on the economic indicator were 2 to almost 4 times better off, more purchasing power than we do today. Let that sink in. Eric Schmidt, senator from Missouri. You know, and you're probably seeing all the clips, or if you're listening to the news, you're in the Pam Bondi and the Adam Schiffs and the Dick Durbins and the fireworks. And we get this probably far too often, although I appreciate a good political food fight as good as anybody. Eric Schmidt summed up at the hearings today with Arctic frost, crossfire hurricane, Hunter Biden, the racist in chief of Obama, and all that stuff going on. Here's Eric Schmidt.
Voice.
I have to say, I am struck by the degree of the cognitive dissonance that I hear on the other side. It really is. I mean, I'm used to sort of the political debates and arguing in court and all those sorts of things. But to hear the other side of the dais talk about weaponization is truly shocking, given what we know now. And I thought what I might do is just tell a story. And these are 100% facts. Hillary Clinton, concerned about her email scandal, works with a Soros organization to cook up this Russiagate nonsense. They feed it to the intelligence agencies. And they spy, under Barack Obama's presidency, they spy on the political opponent, the Republican, running against Hillary Clinton. He gets elected. They continue the operation. And they launder this intelligence into stuff that was meant to, by the FBI and the CIA, to sideline a presidency of a duly elected president of the United States of America, to sideline him. And that continued. You heard even some people on this committee further that nonsense for 4 years. And then the FBI is involved with pre-bunking the Hunter Biden laptop story because they didn't want him to get elected again. So they pre-bunked the Hunter Biden laptop story. The American people should have been allowed to make their own judgments from that. They weren't.
So we allowed our law enforcement agencies in 16 and 20 today to determine who's going to be in elective office, which is a 111% no-no across every law and every tenet from the Declaration of Independence to today. And nobody's locked up in Leavenworth breaking rocks 12 hours a day.
Because the FBI called it a Russian hack and leak operation. They were meeting with social media companies every month and every week, telling them that the laptop that they knew that they had verified in November of 2019, they knew was real and knew was his, said it was Russian disinformation. We've heard that before. And then, after Joe Biden comes in, 3 days in, they start a censorship campaign against the country, anybody who's a conservative. And now we also know that the FBI was...
They knew it was Hunter Biden's laptop. Not only did they lie, they went to all the social media companies and everywhere and anything and de facto bribed most of the broadcast media to lie and say, no, it wasn't. And to take the president of the United States off of the Tweedle machine, as it was known at the time.
Weaponized in this Arctic frost investigation that tapped the phones of sitting U.S. senators and also the Republican Attorneys General Association. So let's pull in 2 more U.S. senators, Ashley Moody and myself, who were on the executive committee at that time. Charlie Kirk, political organizations they didn't agree with. This is not in the Soviet Union in the 1980s.
Exactly right. The Idi Amin, Castro, Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, the list goes on, would be green with envy with the law enforcement agencies in today, from the FBI or back then, the FBI on down, the CIA, were doing to American citizens, censoring them, tapping senators' phones, tapping your phones, tapping Charlie Kirk, who was telling you this was going on. They're saying he was lying about it, like me and everybody else, Dr. Kelly, Mason Weaver, and everybody else that got deplatformed for telling the truth.
This is in the United States of America in the last few years. And then when they thought President Trump was on the run and there's no way people would elect him, and then he announces he's running for president, 3 days later, Jack Smith's appointed to get Trump. Fani Willis brings charges against President Trump, and the assistant prosecutor meets with the White House counsel's office. Why would that happen? Then you have Alvin Bragg bring his charges. The number 3 person at DOJ goes to work for him to get Trump. All in the United States of America. This continued. And Senator Hawley asked the question, wrote it down, what is happening in this country? And I hope that MSNBC is still broadcasting this, because I'm sure their viewership hasn't heard this story that's gone on for 10 years. The truth is, they never forgave President Trump for coming down the escalator at all.
1,000%. They couldn't believe Her Highness Hillary lost in 16. They've been running a hissy fit like a psycho chick or a 5-year-old kicking and screaming in the middle of the street because she's not getting a lollipop.
They didn't like him. They didn't like the disruption. And they've spent the better part of a decade.
No, they didn't like the truth. Somebody that was actually going to work for the American people and expose this stuff. And what they're really afraid of is maybe they had Trump on the run a lot in Trump 1.0, and they had a lot of the establishment people doing that. That is not the case in Trump 2.0, which makes it much more dangerous for them and exposing their criminality and hate for you.
Not just going after him, but demonizing half the country as fascists and Nazis and threats to democracy.
Remember garbage people from Joe Biden? You know, if you're wearing that maggot hat, you're a piece of garbage.
And they have fueled this division in their inability to accept the fact that half of the country isn't deplorables, as Hillary Clinton called her, bitter clingers, as Barack Obama called them, or trash, as Joe Biden called them. That they rose up and they sat in their own jury box and they saw all this stuff play out over a decade and they rejected it. And now you have come in to clean that up, and you are doing a great job in doing that. And let me make this clear. There is a big difference between what happened under the Biden regime and the weaponization and then holding those people accountable. That is not weaponization. If that doesn't happen, this will happen all over again.
Do not repeat the mistakes of the past. And this is what I'm saying. If people who perpetrated this do not go to jail for the rest of their lives, Fauci, Clapper, Jack Smith, Comey, and the rest, and Hillary and Biden's and Obama's and everybody else have participated in this. Randy Weingarten, teachers have backed this up. It will happen again.
So your job, as you talked about in your confirmation hearing, is so important that this never happens again. And holding people accountable who are part of this conspiracy is absolutely your job. And I'm also taking, you don't have to comment on this, your unwillingness to answer questions that have come up. I am led to believe, as a former attorney general, that that might mean there's an ongoing investigation. You don't have to talk about it. The statute of limitations may have run on some of this stuff, but not on a conspiracy. And if you're a co-conspirator in mile marker 1, even if you want to get on the exit ramp in mile marker 5, you are liable for the conspiracy in mile marker 10. And we are at mile marker 10. And I will also say what's happening in this country. What's happening with the assault on ICE officers is truly shocking. Deportations are nothing new. Bill Clinton deported 12 million people. 12 million people. You didn't see this.
You didn't see the Pope out there having to deal when Clinton was doing it or Obama. Oh, that Trump's out there actually enforcing the law. And all the MAGA hatters, they're evil.
The radicalization that's happened on the left that plays out with political violence is real. And by the way, let me also point out that if we had a scenario where John Thune was on the Supreme Court steps saying, "You've reaped a whirlwind, Supreme Court justices," and then a right-wing assassin tried to kill Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then a Republican-appointed judge only gave that person 8 years, there would be riots on the streets. Cities would be burning right now.
Voice.
Gotta hand it to Eric Schmidt. He laid the case out. 111%. Not with histrionics. Not with a bunch of gnashing and name calling and talking over. Systematically. Like with the whole thing. We don't start reining this stuff in. We're all going to be, as they say, in a heap of trouble. Like you've never seen a heap of trouble before. This is Pope Leo, but I'm in agreement with the inhumane treatment of immigrants in the United States. I don't know if that's pro-life. After you've taken billions to run them up through here illegally, 30 million of them. And then we're trying to clean up the mess you had a big part of making, Pope Leo, and then you're calling us out? Man, that takes some hubris. That's in the top 3. Man, it's something else. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff we need to take care of. And we better start doing it ASAP. Ballots hit today. Vote no on 50. That's Sonia Shaw, the great president, Chino Valley School Board, running for superintendent of public instruction here in the state of California in 26. Get out there, get ballots in, have ballot harvesting parties. Don't let the rats outwork you. We need to send a message. We're moving the voter registration stuff around. We got positives. I'm not saying everything is bad. See if we can hit a couple locale stories before we bail out here and then get ready to head to the city zoo. See if Mayor Baby Jesus is going to make some more potentially illegal appointments or trying to do that. It's absolutely something else. DUI manslaughter? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Chino Hills driver arrested and accused of manslaughter in a suspected DUI crash, Carbon Canyon Road. A weed theft ring reported in the San Bernardino Sun. 42-year-old Brian Messina was killed in 2020. Members of a marijuana theft ring gets life sentence for role in the murder of an Anza man suspected of being an informant. Him at crime stats. Calls for service 60, almost 6,500. DUI arrest 27. Total arrest 320. Emmett cops cleaning stuff up. 38 special. Hunting. Purdue cops got a felon with a Saturday night special. Good job there. Hotel shootout up in Victorville in the IE of that. Donald Trump is my daddy. It's our meme of the day, as we say. Man, it's been one heck of a day. There's Gabby. Donald Trump is my daddy. Oh boy, gotta have some fun here somewhere. Else you will go completely insane. Get after it, get those no on 50. Sign the petition on getting voter ID for 26. Go to hjta.org, sign that petition to protect Prop 13. Got lots of work to do. Time is of the essence. We get some people in office, more people in office, like Eric Schmidt, Donald Trump, workers like Pam Bondi, Harmeet Dillon, and the crew. We'll be okay. If not, oh man. That'll do it for today. Take it away, Sean.
All right, Roy. Well, have fun at the meeting.
You got it.
Raise some hell.
Been known to do that a time or
Yeah.
two.
Well, raise some for me too.
You got it.
All right. Bye now.